Rachel, you and I recently returned from Nebraska, where we took a ride on the E-4B Night Watch plane. Most people know it as the Doomsday plane, where if there's a nuclear attack, the president can lead the nation from that plane. It's a big communications center. It's basically flying command and control room. What kinds of missions does the E-4B see these days?
Sure. So the E-4B is turning 60 years old this year. Big milestone for one of the, kind of most unique missions in the Air Force. Right now, it's used primarily to, fly around the Secretary of Defense. Kind of keep an eye on, how to communicate with troops overseas, troops at home, connect the Defense Secretary to, the White House if need be.
And I think that came in handy very recently when Secretary Austin went to Kyiv, and the story went out saying that even though he was in a war zone, in an austere location, he was still in his chain of command. He could still, if there's some sort of nuclear incident, he would still be in that chain and being able to use, presumably because he's being accompanied by that E-4B.
Yeah. It can connect to any phone line, cell phone, landline. It can read texts, emails, I believe. It can, funnel in TV stations. So anything that the Defense Secretary needs to kind of be on top of, what's happening in the world, this plane can connect him to it. And, it's also used to make big decisions when the time for big decisions comes. So one of the examples that they gave us on the plane was he was part of a video conference with the president and with other, members of the national security apparatus when they made the decision to withdraw troops from Afghanistan. So obviously it's a very secure but also very important national asset.
We were also told that not only does it get used for doomsday scenarios and travel for the Secretary of Defense, but it's not just a DoD asset, it's a federal asset. What other parts of the federal government use this?
FEMA calls on it in times of natural disasters. It can provide a conduit for getting first responders connected to the people that they need to be connected with. It lets the federal government talk to governors, state legislators, anybody kind of on the ground that needs to be in the know for situations like that.
This is a really old plane. It's a 747. I think this one in particular used to be part of China Air, if I remember correctly. It goes in and out of maintenance, and there are several of these. What is the maintenance cycle like, and how does that leave an impact on the unit?
So there are maintainers that work on it every day, just fixing the little things that go wrong or the big things that go wrong every day. But then it does go through month-long cycles of maintenance, to really kind of get in and take the time to, fix the stuff that requires a little more effort, right? And, so they've got really specialized people that, can work on, I think there's 42 different radars and antennas and things like that. So they have the specialists to work on those. But also the specialists from, Boeing and other subcontractors that can work on, what is essentially a Boeing platform.
The program is turning 60 years old, which is quite remarkable for a program. What is the future of it?
It's kind of in flux right now. For several years they've been talking about what comes next for the E-4B and the E-6, which is the Navy's version. The Navy's plane can send launch commands to America's nuclear arsenal. The E-4 can't do that, so there's been some conversation about combining them into one platform. As of right now, it looks like that's not the direction that they're going in. So the Air Force has to come out and say what it's going to do with the E-4. They've said they want a smaller, I believe, kind of business jet sort of airframe for it. Some of the airmen that I talked to said they don't really understand how you could shrink the mission into a smaller jet.
It was a snug fit even in a 747.
It was. I mean, machines that remind you of war games, from the 60s and 70s are not small, the kind of shrunk down technology that we have today. So, they may find a way of fitting it into a smaller plane, but that's to be determined.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.